Demon Deacons serving as the maestro here at the Joel Coliseum. Wake Forest and NC Central, nothing decided yet in the third ever meeting between these two teams. It's hard to believe you have to go all the way back to 1986 to find the last time Wake Forest lost a home game to a non-conference in-state opponent. Free throw good for Willis, puts the Eagles on top by 1. 43-0 here at the Joel Coliseum against non-conference North Carolina opponents. 50 straight overall when you go back to the Memorial Coliseum. And NC Central giving Wake all they can handle here in the first half, Randolph.
But we knew they would coming into the game. Like I said, these guys have been on they had played in big-time college basketball before, so with the transfer, and Ray Willis is leading the way. I mean, he's coming out, he's really aggressive. He's a really talented and skilled player. He's definitely not afraid.
Fisher for Harris. Chenault moving without the ball, and it's DeRozier's at the apex to the corner for Chenault. To the basket, defended well, and the loose ball collected by the aggressive Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles are just a little bit more aggressive than Wake Forest is right now, and I think that's a concern for Coach Besdelic. Now Wake's going back into the 2-3 zone.
NC Central with a +6 margin on the boards. 5 turnovers apiece as we play with 2:40 to play here in the first half. Willis, a teammate of Blake Griffin's at Oklahoma. Got Fisher off his feet. Shot clock winding down. He needed to shoot it. Another offensive rebound. This time it's Anyora. Wow.
So Coach Besdelic definitely has to be concerned right now. They're beating us to the punch. They're a more aggressive team, and I think that's they're a +7 on rebounding right now. Another offensive rebound we've given up.
Ibuka Anyora with 5 points. And Chenault, an important counterpunch for the Deacs. First field goal for Tony Chenault. He's got 3 first half points. Deacons back within a deuce at 33-31.
Wake is kind of falling back into the zone, but you can't get too lazy in the zone. You got to box out and rebound.
And give NC Central credit. They've been very patient, and when the shot clock is wound down, they've been very aggressive. Here's Clements.
Another offensive rebound and foul.
Tony Chenault picked up his second. So now Chenault, Harris, both with 2, and Daniel Green picked up 3 fouls very quickly in his brief cameo appearance.
Well, what makes us vulnerable, we're a better offensive team when Travis McKay plays the 4. But, it hurts us on rebounding. It's because it's so small.
NC Central 6 for 7 from the line as well, as Karamo Jawara gets his first point. He's been a key contributor off the bench so far this year for Lavelle Moten. And he knocks down a couple of free throws to give the Eagles a 4-point lead. Harris splits a double team on the perimeter, but resets for Masharikov. McKay may have forced that one. Fisher, a nice rebound, sets up Chenault in rhythm. Can't knock that one down either. The shots are not falling, and NC Central is gaining confidence with every Deacon miss.
Yeah, Wake's holding on to the ball a little bit too much right now. I think the main objective they wanted to accomplish on offense was passing and cutting, and they're not doing that right now. I think if they get into a one-on-one ball game, I think it's in the Eagles' favor. I'm really impressed with their patience.
Shot clock down to 11, and they turn it over. Harris to the bucket.
Great
Foul
hustle.
called. No, goaltending.
Oh, goaltending.
Goaltending's the call. You don't see goaltending too often on a dunk attempt.
I didn't see that. I couldn't imagine that. Unless he thought he was shooting a layup. I don't understand where that came from, but I guess Wake will take it.
And that's the first 2 points of the game for C.J. Harris. It goes in the stat book as a good dunk.
I think Travis will tell that story. CJ will tell that story. I'm sorry. That was a great dunk. Wake's extending the pressure a little bit with a full court zone press.
And for C.J. Harris, who scored 20 points in each of the first 2 games, to have just 2 with under a minute to go in the first half, NC Central has done a nice job containing him, but now back-to-back turnovers for the Eagles and a chance for Jeff Bzdelik's club to take some momentum to the locker room.
Yeah, I think he see that the offense was stagnant at the half court. He wanted to extend the pressure a little bit, try to force a turnover, and the Eagles obliged.
36.5 on the official game clock, so a second-and-a-half differential between game and shot clock on what likely will be the penultimate possession of the first half.
Yeah, I think you'll see Wake definitely moving and passing the ball and holding it for the last shot.
Chenault, Harris, Fisher, Masharikoff, and Mackay. Shot clock down to 16. Harris mirrored by Tremar Beeman defensively.
I think you'll see Harris go one-on-one here.
Harris took a step, settles back, knocks it down. Tie game with 2 seconds, and the Eagles cannot get it off before the buzzer sounded from midcourt. Nice move by C.J. Harris. Back-to-back buckets for him to finish the half strong. And Wake Forest needed a strong finish to bring us back to where we started.
Well, that's a good sign for Wake. We need C.J. to get going, and that was the first 2 baskets of the half, so we'll be lucky to get him going. We need him going in the second half.
Harris came up with a steal. We'll get a look right here at the goaltending call. Looked like either a block or a foul.
Yeah, I think that's a blown call there, but I think Wake Forest will take it.
Harris with a patient move, and the Deacons and Eagles are even at 35 halftime here in Winston-Salem. Welcome back to the Joel Coliseum. At the half, 35 apiece, Wake Forest and NC Central. Evan Lepler joined by Randolph Childress. And Randolph, it has to be concerning for Jeff Bzdelik. The first 2 games of the season, he was out-rebounded by an average margin of 6 boards per game. The boards in the first half, 19-11 in favor of the visitors from Durham.
Yeah, Coach Bzdelik's not happy right now. I think that was an emphasis for this week, was to make sure we won a rebounding battle. When so far this first half, we haven't obliged.
And some more good news for NC Central. Their best player, Dominique Sutton, has just 2 points, and they're tied, and Ray Willis is the reason why.
Well, I think he's got it going. Ray Willis is playing really well right now, and on the other side for Wake, I think Wake has to be concerned because C.J. Harris hasn't gotten it going yet. I think the final 2 baskets he scored before the end of the first half will be something that we need to get him going in the second half.
Travis Mackay started 5 for 5, had 11 quick points, and then cooled off. Did you see NC Central do anything different with him defensively?
Well, Travis is one of those guys. I don't think they run anything special for Travis Mackay. I just think he kind of gets aggressive, and when he does, I think he gets all the baskets he needs.
Wake Forest and NC Central tied at 35 here at the half in Winston-Salem. We'll take a timeout and come back with a special guest here at the Joel. This is the ACC Network on ESPN. 35-35, the halftime score. Welcome back to the Joel Coliseum. Evan Lepler pleased to be joined by the head coach of Wake Forest women's basketball, Coach Mike Peterson. And Coach Pete, thanks for spending some time with us, especially on a tough day for you. I know after a loss, it really smarts. A loss by the slimmest of all possible margins today to Kansas, 74-73. Tell us about the great comeback to make it close down the stretch.
Well, we did play very hard, and I thought we competed well. And I told team afterwards, I thought we did a lot of things right. We just didn't do enough things right to beat Kansas today. Kansas is a very good team. They're won 21 games last year. They got everybody back from a year ago, their point guard and their posts, and they got a couple of wings that are really good. So it's a solid team. And like I said, we did a lot of things right. The best thing we did was we had a little flat spot at the start of the second half, and they got out to a 10, 12-point lead. We didn't hang our heads. We just kept playing, and we grinded it back to the point where we had the lead with 20 seconds left and just couldn't get a stop on the last possession. They scored with 5 seconds left to beat us.
Very early in the season, you, very similar to Jeff Bezdelek, trying to figure out exactly what kind of team you have and what kind of strengths and weaknesses you guys have. Yeah. How long does it take you in the early stages of a season to really know, okay, this is what we have to do to be really good to win?
Yeah, well, I think we're a little different than that. Ours is more figuring out the lineups and the moving pieces. We've got a pretty good idea how we want to play. When our pace is right, we're pretty good, and that was the whole issue today. The game got bogged down a little bit at the start of the second half when they went on their run. When we dictate the pace, we're pretty good. So we want to play up and down, and we've got a lot of kids that can do that. So I thought Cess Ray was really good today. I thought Asia gave us great energy. Our guards gave us great energy. So Lindsey Wright had a really good day for us. And it was always when the game was going up and down and there was some energy involved. So I think we've got a really good idea of how we'll be successful. And now it's a matter of putting the right lineups on the floor and helping the players to put them in positions where they can be successful as a group and as individuals.
With Wake Forest women's basketball coach Mike Peterson, you have Camille Collier back. She missed all of last season with a torn ACL, now a graduate student at Wake Forest. She's had a pretty good start to the year after not playing much in the exhibition games. What does she mean to the program as a whole, having her as that veteran guide?
Well, a couple things. I mean, first of all, I'll never forget when I met with Camille last year. She'd sat her senior year and she was graduating cum laude and all that. And we're sitting after the season's over, and she said, "Hey, Coach, what do you think about me coming back?" And I said, "Well, I want you to come back." And she said, "You sure?" I said, "Well, let's see, Camille. I get to spend a whole another year around one of my favorite people ever. How is that a bad thing for me?" So we were really happy she came back. And aside from shooting the ball really well, she's just very stable, very steady. And it's like having another coach out there. She's been here long enough. She knows exactly what we want to do. And so it's like having a coach on the floor sometimes.
Real quickly, we got about 30 seconds. Your thoughts on playing Wednesday and Friday? How much do you get to eat on Thursday, or is it all practice?
Well, we'll eat, that's for sure. We'll play Wednesday afternoon, and then we play Mercer Wednesday afternoon at noon. Then we'll come back and practice Thursday morning, give them the rest of the day off, come back and play Friday.
Sounds good. Mike Peterson, thanks so much for spending some time with me up here.
Appreciate it, E.
Mike Peterson, head coach of Wake Forest women's basketball. They're back in action Wednesday afternoon. Here tonight, 35-35, the Deacons and the Eagles. Randolph Childress rejoins me for some keys to the second half coming up next on the ACC Network on ESPN. Welcome back to the Joel Coliseum. Second half coming up shortly. Evan Lepler, Randolph Childress. Randolph 35-35 at the half. If I had told Jeff Pozdelic before the game that he has 11 assists and 5 turnovers in the first half, he probably feels pretty good. Why does he not feel so good?
Well, because we've lost the battle on the boards. I think that's been a concern of his from the very beginning. We haven't won a game rebounding yet this year, so he needs to change that. If we're going to get consistent against better competition and get wins, we're going to have to win the rebounding game.
We touched on it a little bit in the first half, but last year Wake Forest had a bunch of early season losses to teams, quite frankly, that an ACC team doesn't expect to lose to. And you implied that any win is a good win at this point. But Jeff Pozdelic also wants to see progress, and he wants to see the freshmen grow into their roles. Chase Fisher did a few good things in that first half. Daniel Green picked up 3 quick fouls. If Wake Forest is not just going to win this game, but play the way Jeff Pozdelic wants them to play, what do they have to do?
Well, they're going to have to defend. They're going to have to defend and rebound. I mean, when you finish the season like Wake did last year, just a win is a win. You know, you take it and then you correct the mistakes. But right now, one of the biggest mistakes that that Wake Forest has made is you have to rebound in basketball. And if you continue to do that, that's why Central's in the game right now. And I think the Eagles will continue to pound the glass. We're not a big team. We're a smaller team. I mean, Wake's a small team. And they're going to have to continue to do better.
Misherakov had 11 points in the first half, as did Travis Mackay. A strong finish for the half for C.J. Harris. At what point does Jeff Pozdelic say, okay, let's give the ball to C.J. Harris and Travis Mackay and try to have them win this game for us?
Well, I don't think he can do that until key moments of the game. I think right now, early on in the game, Wake is going to have to continue to get everyone involved. And I think when certain moments of the game, when they need players to make a play, that's when Travis and C.J. gets the ball to make those plays. But right now, for the, start the second half, they're going to need everybody to be a little bit more aggressive.
When we look at some of the first half numbers, Wake Forest shooting 54% from the field, 14 for 26. NC Central 12 for 28. But the bottom line is this is an even tie ball game.
Right. And the two things that Wake has done, I think, that's hurt them. You see they're shooting 50% from 3. For a team that has shot, shoot as many free throws as they've done this year, shooting 50% or shooting as poorly as Wake has done this year, you can't win that way and not rebound the basketball.
Talk about Ray Willis filling up the stat sheet. 13 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 3 blocks, and he never left the floor in the first half. Second 20 minutes will decide it. 35 all. Second half coming up here at the Joel. Wake Forest and NC Central on this Sunday before Thanksgiving in Winston-Salem. Beautiful day here in North Carolina. Unseasonably warm for November.
Yeah, it's definitely been great outside today. I actually went out and tried to play 18 this morning, so I tried to take advantage of it.
How many holes in one?
None. Not many fairways either.
But good times, I'm sure. Perfect day for it. NC Central will start the second half with the basketball. And this is Pubi Chapman, who we didn't see much in the first half because of 2 quick fouls. Brought him to the bench. Here's Sutton slicing in, getting 2.
Well, they try to move him around a little bit. You can see coming out at the start of the second half. They want to get him going.
Eagles look like they believe they can win this game, and they should because they can.
Well, we knew they would come out aggressive again. When you have so many quality players and high-quality transfers that these guys have, they're going to come out aggressive.
And Misherakov picks up right where he left off.
he's well on his way to having a great shooting game.
He's got a career high 14 points, and there's over 19 minutes to play. Deacons by 1. Whistle, foul away from the ball, and it's going against the Eagles. Landon Clement called for the illegal screen. His first personal foul. Jeff Bzdelic in his second year became the 21st head coach in Wake Forest men's basketball history.
I think you're going to see Wake start out the second half with a lot of movement, and I think CJ and Travis are going to be two guys they're going to look to get them going offensively here.
Harris triple threat, pulls up. That's a pretty shot by CJ Harris.
It's what he does very best. He has a great mid-range game. I think he has a great pull-up, 1 or 2 dribble pull-up. He has as good as anyone on our team, on Wake Forest's team right now. I think he's the best at it.
Get the feeling Harris is going to have to carry this team to a win tonight. He's got 6 points. Sutton finds Chaston, and that's a pretty finish as well.
That's the part of the game I think that Dominique Sutton brings as a big man to push the ball on the floor, and he can penetrate great for his teammates. That's going to be a tough matchup for Wake Forest tonight.
Tight man-to-man defense for the Eagles of North Carolina Central. They are 0-11 all-time against the ACC during their Division I transition. Chenault sets up Mackay. 2 straight from the same spot. Masharikoff and Mackay, and the Deacons lead by 4. Little call and answer. Masharikoff and Mackay now both with 14 points. They leave Chaston wide open, and he can't connect. DeRozier's the rebound, triggers the break. Chenault out of control, and the foul is going against Tony.
That's Chapman's third. You need to get him out of the game. I think Wake's going to continue to trap.
I think they called the foul on Chenault.
Wow. Didn't notice that. Surprised.
And that's number 3 on Tony Chenault. Change of perception all of a sudden. And Chenault with 3, he's still out there.
Now, I wonder the difference is how aggressive he'll be defensively.
Chaston was left open again. This time he passed up the opportunity. Double team comes on Sutton. Chaston on the block. Blocked by DeRozier's. 10 to shoot for the Eagles. Shot clock, of course, did not reset. Chapman sets up Chaston again. And he is cold. Deacons are forcing him to shoot. Harris to the basket.
Nice move. There go Tony again with the defensive pressure.
And Chenault, trick or treat. He sneaks in and lays it in. And the Deacons have opened up an 8-point lead with 16:48 to go. We'll get another look at this C.J. Harris maneuver. Little hesitation.
Yeah, that's a nice move by C.J. High and off the glass.
Timeout on the floor. Deacons by 8. A quick start to the second half for the gold and black.
Yeah, you see C.J. Harris came up pretty aggressive second half. Travis Mackay. As we said from the beginning, those 2 guys are going to have to be the more aggressive guys and leaders tonight.
Wake Forest, their final home game before a trip to Orlando for the Old Spice Classic. The Deacons will face Dayton on Thursday, Thanksgiving Thursday, and then the winner of Arizona State, Fairfield on Friday. That's a tough stretch, 3 games in 4 days, and I'd say it would be the Deacons' first real test, but clearly tonight, a true test for Jeff Bzdelik's young team.
Well, I don't think Wake has had an easy game yet. I just think that they're a team that's coming in and their confidence was shattered from last year. When you come into a season and you only won 8 games, there are no easy wins. So I think tonight is another test, and I think it'll be something that'll help Wake in the future if they can continue to expand this lead. They can just pull this game out. Right now, they're going through a lack of confidence, and these guys are learning how to win again. So I think that's something that Coach Bzdelik is happy about. I don't think he's taking style points right now. He'll just take wins.
Jeff Bzdelik has a veteran coaching staff. Jeff Battle in his 11th year at Wake Forest, and then another one of the all-time greats like yourself, Rusty LaRue in his 3rd year. Walt Corbin promoted up from director of basketball operations, now an assistant himself, and sort of that quartet along with a lot of other support staff trying to rebuild the confidence, because this team was beaten down by what happened last season, and just believing that they can win again. And that's why these early season games are so important, to gain that confidence heading to what will be a grueling ACC season.
And no doubt about it. I think mentally that's been the biggest thing. They're trying to just reinforce being positive amongst these young guys. You know, when you're young and you go through a tough year like they did last year, at the first sign of a difficult moment, you tend to put your head down. And he's just trying to be confident through the dark times. And I think he's one of the reasons why Wake Forest has been able to pull out some of the games that they had. There are no easy games when you're learning how to win.
Wake Forest trying to twist the knife with some full court pressure, leading by 8. Largest lead since the Deacs were up 17-7 in the game's opening minutes. Forget that. Wake had a 10-point lead in the first half, and NC Central closed the gap and has not gone away.
No, they have not.
They set up Clement for an open 3.
Rushed shot at Wake Forest ball.
The Rosiers had the rebound slapped away, but it will be Deacon basketball. That's a tough look on the face of Lavelle Moten. He played 4 years professionally abroad, like you did, Randolph. He played in Indonesia and Israel. You ever travel to those places?
I have not.
DeRosiers gets 2.
He actually lost that, but he recovered enough time and had a lane to the basket. I don't think coach would be too happy with them.
Deacons
allowing a 7-footer to drive.
Deacons match their largest lead, 49-39. Chapman, floater, won't fall for him, and Masharikov cleans up the rebound.
This is a big possession for Wake. If they can score here, I think they'll be well on their way.
Masharikov, strong take, but he could not finish at the rim. Strong rebound for Sutton. Deeks not getting back as Willis to the rack, and he'll get to the free throw line to shoot a pair.
I think Willis is the half he's had the first half. I think he'll be really aggressive coming out the second half, trying to get his team back. He hadn't got going offensively, but I think he will start in this half.
Timeout on the floor here in Winston-Salem, and the Deacons lead by 10. Wake Forest on a 14-4 run to start the second half, shooting a scintillating 61% for the game, and looks like that a big reason why for Carson DeRosiers.
Yeah, when 7-footers are allowed to drive down a lane, they're going to shoot a high percentage, and I think, NC Central's coach, Coach Moten, is not happy about that.
Ray Willis will shoot a couple free throws out of the timeouts. And he picks up his 14th point. Just a pretty looking shot for Ray Willis. He was a high school teammate of Chris Warren, the Ole Miss sharpshooter. One of the reasons Willis is so tough, he stands 6'6", his wingspan a complete 7 feet.
He has a beautiful stroke. He has great size. He can play multiple positions. He's a talented kid.
2 free throws bring the Eagles within 8. For Jeff Buzdelek, he sends out Harris, Fisher, Masharikoff, DeRozers, and Mackay. DeRozers fakes the 3. Mackay will take it and make it.
It's a great movement of the basketball there. Very unselfish basketball by the Deeks.
That's 17 now for Mackay. Deeks with their largest lead, up 11. Clement in the lane, gets 2. Tough shot.
Yeah, tough shot. Nice pull-up driving to his left.
Landon Clement scored in double figures every single game for NC Central last season. He's got 8 tonight. Harris, a little hesitation move, but the rejection out of nowhere from Sutton. And he'll lead the charge for the Eagles. Spins to the bucket. And a wild shot, but controlled on the rebound by Jawara. And the Eagles will reset. Clement is calling for it. They find him.
All by the offensive rebound. Another offensive rebound for the Eagles. Leads to another 3-point shot.
There's the double figures for Clement. Just like that,
You just talked him
6-point
up.
game.
You just talked him up.
52-46. Anthony Fields to the scorer's table. Mackay double teamed in the perimeter. Shot clock's down to 12. Harris waves away everybody. Isolation. Harris creates contact and will get to the line.
He has a great skill in doing so. He's a great guy in drawing contact and getting to the free throw line.
How does one become so great at that particular skill? Because, you know, it's hard to coach.
Well, I think it's something that CJ does really well. I think he kind of lures you to sleep. He's very methodical in his movements, but I think he does a great job of changing speeds, and he has a great body control and balance. So when he gets into the lane, if you're leaning and you're not on balance, he will draw the contact and get to the line like he did just now.
We've talked about it before. He is deceptively quick.
He just changed directions well. I don't think he's baseline fast, but he's quicker than you think he is.
C.J. Harris into double figures with 10. He is 315 points away from the 1,000-point mark. C.J. usually has a smile on his face, too.
Well, those kids come around. They're a great group of kids down there at Wake Forest right now. I think all those guys are coming out with smiles on their faces right now and a little confidence, and they should be.
Deacon's lead is 8. Jawara into the corner. And Yora, baseline drive. Pretty move, but he could not put it home. Anthony Fields off the bench to replace Chenaults. He'll guide the offense this trip. DeRozier's at the foul line. With a right hand, fell short. Offensive rebound for Green. And he'll get to the free throw line. Daniel Green, not the most skilled big man yet, but the potential to be very active and get those garbage baskets like that.
I think that's what he does really well right now. I think he attacks the offensive glass and the defensive glass, you know, every possession. So I think that's one thing he brings to the team right now.
If he makes them both, the Deacons will be back up by 10. Daniel Green now 2 for 5 as a collegiate basketball player from the free throw line. It's an interesting dynamic for Daniel Green. Both of his parents went to UNC Chapel Hill, and yet here he is a Demon Deacon.
He's a smart kid, from my understanding.
They didn't like you very much in Chapel Hill, did they?
I never cared. Never much cared for what anyone thought of when they started heading toward 40 East. Up Tobacco Road.
Deacons double team Sutton on the block, and
that was a tough shot. He was double covered on that.
Jawara's hustled for a bunch of offensive boards all game long.
Another offensive rebound.
That's 9 rebounds for Jawara.
Central's now become a little stagnant with the ball. They're holding on to it. Just running pick and roll sets.
Lost the handle, and Fisher comes away with it. 4 on 3 for the Deeks. Fields goes baseline. And Daniel Green can't finish. Tipped up, no good. Jump ball.
Good hustle by both teams there for the loose ball.
Arrow belongs to Wake. When you played, which ACC team did you feel despised you the most?
Wow. That'd be an interesting question. I would have to say to be Duke or Carolina. You can take your pick on that one. I would have to go with the Dukies right now.
Scrum on the floor for the tie-up. Fisher for three. And Mackay with an offensive rebound. Deeks will reset. I'm sure fans are dying for me to ask, did you have any interaction with Jeff McGinnis after that fateful day?
I have not spoken a word to Jeff since then. I think we've kind of spoken on Facebook once or twice, and that's been about it. It's a turnover by Wake.
Sutton to the basket, and he'll draw the hard foul from DeRozier's. It's the magic of social networking. 17 years after one of the most memorable plays in the ACC tournament, they connect via Facebook.
Well, we've been forever linked by that, and particularly here with both of us going to school here in North Carolina. And so, with the YouTube and everything else that goes on nowadays, it's just something that happens, and it was just part of something that happened at that time. So
Sutton knocks down the free throw. I know you have two young boys.
Right.
Do they have an appreciation for what that moment meant?
My oldest one does. My 14-year-old is a wannabe basketball player. My 11-year-old doesn't. He could care less at this point.
Sure, he practices that crossover in the driveway frequently. Sutton gets the second one to fall.
Central's extended the pressure now. They're up to full court pressure.
Harris in the corner, sets up Fisher, wide open. Bingo.
Very unselfish basketball by the Deeks right there. Great movement, great shot.
Lake Forest has been lights out from three-point range tonight. 8 of 11 from downtown. A response wouldn't fall for Anyora. And the Deeks looking to add to their 10-point lead. Harris crosses over Anyora to the basket. C.J. Harris puts the Deeks up a dozen.
It's a great move by C.J. He's really gotten aggressive the second half.
C.J. Harris didn't score until the final minute of the first half, and now he has 12 points, and that's the Wake Forest lead.
The Eagles' offense has gotten stagnant right now. A lot of ball handling, a lot of guys holding on to the basketball.
Sutton on the block, had great position, and he'll get to the line.
That's a nice, strong move right there by Dominique Sutton.
One of the captains of this year's NC Central team, the former K-State Wildcat, headed to the line. He was offered a scholarship by Wake Forest. Now playing against the Deacons, and Chase Fisher, a gem of a recruit for the Deeks. His three has the Deeks up by 12. This is the ACC Network on ESPN. Evan Leffler alongside Randolph Childress. The Deacs have opened up a 12-point lead on NC Central. Wake Forest is on fire from downtown, 8 of 11. And this is a team that was shooting 30.6% from three coming into today's